So I want to share with you guys some things that have been going on. Um, and I'm kind of reaching out for help, honestly. Not financial help, nothing like that. But as many of you know, I no longer work at the hair salon I was working at. It's been almost 3 weeks now since I was let go from my job. Um, I had disagreed with the owner of the salon about here in Southern California, San Diego, the mask mandate has been lifted everywhere, where whether you're vaxxed or not, people aren't really wearing masks. I guess it's your choice if you want to go into a place and wear one or not, but businesses are no longer requiring masks. You go to the airport, they're not requiring that people that didn't get the shots that they have to wear a mask. They're not doing that. But at the place that I was working at, for some reason, the guy that owned the hair salon, he wanted anybody that didn't have proof of getting not only the shots, but the bonus ones that come afterward. I'm somebody that didn't get those. And so he calls me an anti, you know whatter. And that's like the title I had at the salon. And even though the mask mandate had lifted and all that, this whole time that I was working there, I still had to wear a mask. And I'm the only hairstylist in the salon that had to wear a mask because I'm the only one that didn't get the shots, right? So he claims it's his way of trying to protect all of the clientele and all of the employees that work there, protect them from me because now I'm a threat. So anyway, so I wore the mask every day, and eventually I got sick of it, especially when the mandate came down and he was continuing to demand that people like myself have to wear masks. And if you don't want to wear one, you better show the evidence, your medical records showing that you got all of it. Not just the first shot, but all the secondary, third, however many shots there are now that they're requiring people to get. So anyway, I finally had enough and I quit wearing the mask. And so he let me go. Well, so it's been about almost 3 weeks. I'm doing fine. The help I am asking for doesn't have to do with that. But I want to share with you some things because working in that environment, it wasn't just the masks. It's not his political views or anything like that, although they're super, super extreme. I mean, you have what's called far right, you have what's called far left, and then you have him. And his thing is so far, I don't even know what to call it. I've never witnessed anything like it ever in my life from anyone. It's pretty extreme. You know, he has all kinds of things. I mean, he's got propaganda all over the windows in the front of the hair salon. He's got it on his mirror. He's got it on his car. All this stuff about his beliefs and all that. In the salon, though, it doesn't say he believes stuff. He has a thing on his mirror that says we believe. Now, we all believe in free love. We believe in this. We believe in that. He's got his rainbow thing. Now, listen, I'm no hater against anybody. Rainbows, whatever it is, I'm no hater against you. I won't speak ill against you. I know plenty of people that have views like that. I know plenty of people that I love dearly that might have different political views than me, spiritual views, whatever, religious people. I don't care, man. I try to love everybody, love on everybody, show that love. I'm not the greatest at showing love. I know that, but I'm working on it. I'm trying to really develop that, right? The more I know how much I'm loved, the more I'm going to be giving that out to others. You can't give to people what you don't have. Wouldn't you agree? So anyway, I'm trying, and I'm not always the best at it, but sometimes in a business setting, you have to hold back from certain things, because the one thing is I can respect his views on things, but the one thing is he doesn't respect mine. And if anybody doesn't have the exact same views as his, he doesn't respect them at all, and he is vocal about it. For instance, I mean, back in 2020, when the elections were happening here in America, this guy, he wanted to put anti-Trump stuff on the windows and vote for Biden's posters all over the windows. Now, if you're thinking, cool, man, that's great. Well, listen, I mean, do you know how much business he's chasing away, especially for a man that says there's no politics to be spoken about in this law? No talking politics, no talking religion, no talking about God, none of that kind of stuff. But he can talk all about his stuff, right? All day, every day. And he was talking Trump's hate speech the entire time, and even before the election, because when Trump was in office, oh man, this guy was just all day, every day with clientele and being very vocal about it. In fact, he had a on his Facebook post. He made a Facebook post before the election. He says, anybody on my Facebook that's voting for Trump, I want you to unfriend me right now. Now, there's a whole bunch of customers that come into the salon that were part of his Facebook thing. And suddenly, he's in the back room of the salon and he's literally crying. I mean, literally bawling. Oh, these people are unfriending me on Facebook. I don't understand what happened. It's like, dude, you just told everybody to unfriend you if they're voting for Trump, right? And I mean, it's just like, you know, you asked for it, you got it. I mean, and it's not only people like him. There's a guy on YouTube that's a professed Christian, and he talks a lot of stuff about like Illuminati things and Hollywood and all this stuff and flat Earth, and he talks about a lot of things that people are interested in. And I had seen some of his videos, and somebody had sent me a link to his channel and said, hey, you got to watch this guy, you know. So I started listening to a little bit of his stuff, and one of the things he said recently is, if anybody is subscribed to me on my channel and you eat meat, I want you to unsubscribe right now. Anybody on my channel that's subscribed and you eat meat, I want you to unsubscribe right now. I'm like, all right. So this guy, he is, if you have different views than he does about eating meat, so if you're not a vegan or vegetarian or whatever he is, he doesn't eat any meat, then you need to unsubscribe from him right now. So he's not tolerant of people that have different views. So what I did, like, wish granted, and I unsubscribed. And I'm not going to subscribe back to him. I don't care if he has interesting things to say or not. I'm not subscribing back, because his wish was he doesn't want anybody watching his channel unless they don't eat meat. But the interesting thing is, I unsubscribed, and then I checked a little bit later just to see, like, man, did this guy lose any subscribers? If he did, it didn't look like it at all. So I'm like, you know, people are just like, oh, he's just kidding around, or I don't want to unsubscribe because I like all his stuff. So they stay subscribed to him, right? Don't tell me let's say he had 50,000 subscribers. I can't remember. It was around there, maybe 30 something, 40, 50, I'm not sure. But, you know, for the subscriber count not to go, because if one person like me unsubscribes, it's not going to make a difference. But it's just amazing, you know. It's like, dude, you wanted it? Okay. You asked for it, you got it. So the same thing with the salon owner. You know, he's asking all these people to unsubscribe from him if they voted for Trump. And then suddenly a bunch of people, not unsubscribe, but unfriend him on Facebook. Unfriend me on Facebook if you're voting for Trump. I want you to unfriend me right now. And so he gets all these people unfriending. And then I overhear him saying it's crazy because so many of his friends on Facebook are gay. And because he's gay and he was married to a man and his husband just recently filed divorce and left him. And it's crazy because a whole bunch of people that worked in the salon quit. I mean, this guy has lost so many employees just recently. It's crazy. So, he's talking about how no gay people vote for Trump. And I'm thinking in my head, man, there's a guy named Dave Rubin that I've seen on YouTube. And Dave Rubin, you know, he does some news stuff, and he just so happens to be gay. He's married to another man. He said he used to be a liberal on the left, and now he's on the right. He's conservative, and he voted for Trump. So this guy at work, thinking that all gay people have the same political views as him, doesn't look like it's quite true, right? So anyway, So he's kind of this kind of character. And I don't want to go too much into him and all that, but what I want to reach out for help about, you guys, is this. Because being at my work, it's like it's very biased. It's only one-sided. It's one way or the highway with this guy. He says he's liberal. Now, liberal comes from the word liberation, and liberation means freedom. There's people that say they are for freedom or for liberation or liberal, but what I am seeing is that it's exactly the opposite. I'm not saying with everybody, but I'm saying with a whole bunch of them, it is opposite. The only freedom they are for is their very own, but they're not for the freedom of anybody else. And if you disagree with any of their views, they are the first ones that they want to police your words. They want to shut you down. They come against you. They'll lie against you. They'll do whatever it takes. So it's like you can label yourself liberal. You can take the word liberal or freedom fighter. That's what a liberal would be, somebody that fights for freedom. But no. You are opposite. You're opposite of it, right? Now, it's easy for me to see these kinds of things because I was raised in a cult. So I had these cult leaders that are very into mind control, brainwashing you. It's only their way or the highway. You are not allowed to even think outside of their box. So ever since I exited out of that cult, I have this unique gift of identifying cult leading mentality very quickly and brainwashing techniques. I identify them very, very quickly. So if it's a politician or whoever, I have this ability to sense truth and to sense lies, to sense deception for sure, right? And when there's agendas involved, I can quickly identify them, right? I'm not biased. I don't have, oh, well, I was raised to be this side and my parents taught me this side. No, my parents taught me Jehovah's Witness stuff. I had nothing to do with politics in my life. Jehovah's Witnesses were not allowed to vote and have nothing to do with politics. So now when it comes to politics, instead of saying, well, I'm a Republican or a Democrat or something like that, I rather would listen to who's telling truth. And if I'm going to pick a side, I want to know what side is more for truth, who's not so deceptive, although both sides have corruption, and I'm sure both sides have some good people, so I'm not trying to say that, but I'm going to follow what that inner voice in me that has been guiding me for a long time now. I don't always get it right. I make my own mistakes, but every time I listen to that inner voice, I never go wrong. If you learn to listen to that inner voice, which is called your spirit, you will never go wrong as well. Only when you listen to that inner voice, you cannot fail. It's impossible. That inner voice is connected to the Most High. You are one in spirit. Do you understand? There is no deception there. It's only truth. So anyway, getting back to what I'm reaching out for help for. So I'm in San Diego. I've been in the hair salon industry for 32 years. I've worked for other people. I've owned my own business. I have been self-employed for most of the years that I've been working. I ended up, when I left the Jehovah's Witnesses religion, I got rid of my business and everything. That's a whole nother story. I ended up renting booths in a couple different salons, right? Where you pay rent for a station. And so I'm still self-employed. I call my own hours. I bring in my own customers. I use my own phone and so forth. So I've been in this business for many, many years, and I've had people follow me for many, many years. For 2 years, I moved away. I left San Diego at age 40. I moved out to the East Coast to a state called Connecticut. I lived there for 2 years. I worked out there. I got licensed in Connecticut to do hair out there, so I worked as a barber and a hairstylist. I worked in 2 different places, a barber shop and in a hair salon. Both were connected to each other. I built a very large clientele, got a good reputation out there, worked for somebody else, worked really hard. I mean, it was crazy. I was working 6 days a week, crazy long hours, had a huge clientele. And then I ended up leaving Connecticut. And then I came back to San Diego, California. I'm born and raised in Southern California. So I came back to the place that I call home. Although actually, if you want to know the truth about me, I don't call anything home, you guys. I'm kind of like a homeless guy, even though I might live in a home, I might be in a place, but I'm like, I don't identify anything as home. My home is somewhere else. And I look forward to the day of actually where I step into that place and for the first and only time in my life, where I will actually truly say, home, home at last. So that's just me. So it's kind of, I'm a unique person, I'm different. I am not attached to anything here in this world. There's nothing I'm attached to. There's nothing that will fulfill my life as far as material things. There's nothing that I think I want. If I only had this, if I only had that, if I only had this kind of title, if I only had this amount of money, then I'd be truly happy. No, 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 no. I'm content. And I'm content with growing more. I never want money to own me or control me. I would rather control it. I'd rather use it as a tool and as a servant. Instead of me being a servant to it, it can serve me. You know what I'm saying? So that's me. And I have no attachments. So it's kind of a nice place to be. I'm content. I'm at peace with myself. And I'm finding myself becoming at peace with many, many others in my life as well, which is an amazing thing. And that's a whole nother story, and I could make a bunch of videos about that. But anyway, I want to share with you, and I'm sorry to go long. I wish I could have made this video shorter, but I just want to give you a little background stuff. Well, anyway, so getting back to the hair salon that I formerly worked at. It's been almost 3 weeks now. This coming Saturday will be 3 weeks. Today is Thursday, so this coming Saturday, 2 more days, it'll be exactly 3 weeks when I was told that I am suspended until further notice, because I was not going to do the mask thing anymore, and so I was let go. Well, the interesting thing about being suspended until further notice is that all these people that have been following me for years and years and years before I ever worked for this guy, you see, the salon I was working at, he's not the original owner. He bought it from the original owner. The original owner I considered a good friend. Him and his wife were close to me. In fact, he had 49 locations at one time. And out of all these different locations and all these hairstylists he knew, and he was a professional stylist, his wife was, but now they were in their 70s and they retired from doing hair anymore. But guess who they came to for their hair services? They came to me. So I felt pretty honored. It didn't make me arrogant or cocky or think I'm the best there is. No, but they came to me. Right? And we had great conversations, and he just so happened to like me, and his wife did too. In fact, she was a minister. And she'd call me one day and said, "Hey, can I invite you to come speak at at my church, that she goes to?" She wanted me to come and speak there, so they trusted me, they liked me. I had a good standing with them. But when it was time for them to sell their salons, get rid of the rest of their locations, they wanted to go move away somewhere, either north or South Carolina. I can't remember which Carolina, but they wanted to move there and go live, out the rest of their years with their children and their grandchildren. Unfortunately, before they had a chance to do that together, his wife slipped in the bathtub, hit her head, and died instantly. He heard a clunk noise. He said he was sitting on his bed, changing channels with the remote control, and his wife got out of bed to go take a shower, and he hears a clunk. He said it was a clunk noise, and he says, "Honey, are you okay? Honey?" And then he gets out of bed. He goes into the bathroom to check on her, and he says she was laying there dead. I guess she hit her head on the faucet or something, slipped in the shower, hit her head, and she instantly died. And he was heartbroken. But he actually went to a one of those recovery groups or support groups or whatever, for people that have lost their spouses and they don't know, they want to get kind of help to deal with things. Support, I guess it's a support group. And he met a woman in that support group that just so happened to be, she was once friends with his wife. She and her husband were friends with him and his wife. And her husband had just died and his wife had just died. So they're there in the support group comforting each other. And before you know it, they start dating, and then he sends me pictures. Guess what? I got married, and he was on the verge of suicide when he lost his wife. He texted me and he told me so. And I tried to give him comfort and hope. And man, when somebody talks suicide to me, I'm kind of the suicide expert because I've been there myself 5 times. So anyway, so I was happy for him. He got remarried. He's happy. I'm sure his wife's happy for him too. And I know where she's at. She's in a good place. And I know that she'd want his happiness for him. And so anyway, he's doing well. But this guy that used to be a coworker of mine, he was very much drama. Many people in the salon called him a drama queen, if you understand that. But that was his nickname, drama queen. But he was drama, and he would bail out of work all the time. I mean, one little thing he didn't like, and he would take off and abandon his customers, leave the salon, and as an employee, they had to let him go eventually, where he didn't work in that salon anymore. But then when he caught wind that the guy that I was working for before was going to sell the salon, he calls his dad and him get together, they purchase the salon, and now he's the new owner, okay? And so as the new owner, things started to get very unprofessional, very crazy, very quickly. And he lost a whole bunch of people that were working there. And then he'd get new people, and then they'd be gone. And then he'd get new people, and then they'd be gone. And I mean, you name it, he's said it. Listen, this guy's been saying so many things. So many things. I mean, put it this way, and I'm not trying to do a video hating on him or anything. I just want to lay a little foundation for you. Why this is so crazy. Why I'm so relieved to be out of there. And then I also want to get back to why I'm reaching out for help. And why it's so important to me to reach out for help. Before I was told to leave, he now what he regularly does is usually on a weekly basis. He calls in. He's sick. He's usually sick or something. He calls in sick. Oh, I'm sick. I got to go to the hospital. It's always the hospital. He's got to go to the hospital. Hospital. And nobody really believes him anymore. It's like the boy that cries wolf, right? And sometimes he'll tell you he's got to go to the hospital for something, but then he mixes up his stories and forgets the lies he tells, and something else comes out, and it's like, dude, do you not remember the lie you told yesterday, and now you're saying something different? I mean, this is regular and continuous. So one of the latest things was he cancels all these appointments on people all the time, and the customers are just getting tired of it. And it's giving the whole entire salon a terrible image. The salon used to have a great reputation. Today it has a terrible reputation, you guys. There's so many terrible Yelp reviews against this place, and it's the ownership. It's his fault. So it's him. So of course he will never take the blame for anything. He won't take any blame for his husband leaving him, for employees quitting, nothing, right? And he didn't take the blame for what I'm about to tell you. But anyway, first I want to just share. So the last thing was he calls in and says he had to be rushed to the hospital because he got a very bad sunburn when he was playing with his niece at the swimming pool. And he had to cancel all of his appointments, right? So he comes to work the following day. Now, I've seen sunburns before. I've been burnt plenty of times myself. And I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, where's the sunburn? And, maybe he has a little pink on his skin, not really his face, but, by his neck, you can kind of see a little bit of a shirt line. It looked like he had some kind of tan, shirt line, like not tan, but a little pink, but not severe sunburn. But anyway, I'm like, so man, where's that sunburn? He's like, well, the hospital, they prescribed me this ointment and it just works really great. And I'm like, oh, that's good. And of course I'm thinking in my head, yeah, right, right? He just makes excuses, right? But anyway, here's what's amazing. So I can't remember the date that this happened. It wasn't too long ago, maybe 3 months, maybe 4 months, give or take, maybe less than 3. I can't remember. I'm at work. I just finished cutting somebody's hair. I'm sweeping the floor. And right behind my station is this little area where people that have chemicals in their hair might sit back there to process under heat lamps. We have a couple heat lamps. These heat lamps, they speed up the process of certain chemicals. And what he had done is he set this girl back there right behind my station under a heat lamp. She looked like she was 12, but I guess she was 15 years old. Just a tiny little thing, looked really young, 15 years old. And he put bleach in her hair, right? So she had naturally dark hair. And what she wanted was, she wanted like those cotton candy colors, like light pink and light blue, that kind of thing. So with people that have dark hair, to achieve those bright colors like that, or pastel colors, if you want the soft pastel ones, the one thing you have to do is lighten their dark hair. And her hair was so dark that he had to use bleach. It's not the bleach you put in the washing machine, it's bleach for your hair. A lot of women, even men, know about this when they get highlights in their hair. Highlights, those blonde streaks. They're not natural blonde streaks, they're bleached blonde streaks. If you have light enough hair, you might be able to use a super blonde color to get those streaks. But usually, if you use a really light blonde color and try to give people streaks, those blonde color is not gonna look so blonde. It's gonna look more on the orange, the brassy side, right? A lot of you guys know what I'm talking about. A lot of women that get their hair done, they've had their hair turn brassy, and I haven't met one person yet that said, please turn my hair brass. Not one. I've been in the business for 32 years, and I haven't met one person that says, I like having brassy hair. Not never, not once. So not myself. Maybe you know somebody, but I haven't known anybody yet. And I've been doing this a long time. So the girl needs to get her hair bleached out before they can put into her hair the pink, blue, whatever colors she was going to go, whatever she was going with. So her mom brought her there, and then the mom, she got approved that she could go do, hey, do you mind if I do some errands while you're doing my daughter's hair? And he's like, oh yeah. So she goes and does her errands, right? Now, I myself, if I had a 15-year-old girl getting her hair done in the salon, especially chemicals, I most certainly myself would want a guardian, a parental guardian, to stick around and be there the entire time. But, he's the professional, and he chose to let her go do errands. So she goes and does errands, and the daughter is sitting behind me under this heat lamp. And something that you mix this bleach with, it's a powder. It's a powder product. So you mix with the bleach something called developer. The developer activates the bleach. It's a form of peroxide, not the same kind of peroxide that you might call hydrogen peroxide, but it's a peroxide that's made to mix with chemicals like certain hair colors and bleaches. So he put this powdered bleach and mixed it with the peroxide, and applied it to this girl's head from scalp to ends to lighten all of her hair. Well, so I hear a girl behind me make some kind of noise like, oh, it hurts so bad, or it's burning, something like that. And I turn around and I go over to her. I said, are you okay? And she says, it hurts so bad. And I look at her. She's got, okay, so one thing you do as a stylist, that most stylists should know this. If you're using chemicals in somebody's hair, not only do you want to put one of those capes, if you get a haircut professionally, they put a cape around you, right? There's some capes that are light, and there's some capes that are a little thicker, more waterproof, right? So usually you put something that's waterproof so that if you're doing chemical service, you don't want the chemicals to soak through the cape and get into their clothing. But another thing you do in addition to that is you take one of those salon towels and you put it around their neck, and it usually sets, not only do you put one inside of the cape underneath, but one on the outside. At least that's what I do when I do chemical services on hair like that. I will put a towel under the cape and then on the outside of the cape. Usually, right? That's what you do. Unless it's something that's, I don't know, simple or whatever, but she's got bleach all over her hair. So I go over there, she doesn't have a cape around her neck, and bleach is running down her neck. And then she also, on top of her head, he put a plastic bag that has elastic around it. We call them processing caps. They look similar to what you might call a shower cap, right? Maybe a little lighter of a material, a different material than your common shower cap, but something similar to that. So she has this processing cap around her head. That usually keeps the heat in so that the chemicals will process better, right? Faster, quicker. So she's under this heat lamp. She's got this processing cap on her head, and she's got bleach running down her neck. And I see that the processing cap, which is made of this plastic, is laying on her neck, straight on her neck. I look up at the heat lamp. It's set at the highest setting. So immediately I turn the heat lamp off. I then look at the processing cap and I'm like, this is laying on her neck. It shouldn't be here. And I touch it. And this thing is extremely hot. And I said, hold on a second. And I go over to where we have the towels and I grab a towel and I lift this super hot plastic cap. It feels like it's just turning into liquid. And I place it in between her neck and that cap so that the plastic isn't touching her anymore. And mind you, she's got bleach all over her neck. Now, it's not my responsibility to start washing her out. It's my responsibility to get her stylist immediately, which it shouldn't even be my responsibility to get her stylist. The stylist should be paying attention to his client. So I run back. I told the girl, I walked her over to the shampoo area. I said, here, sit right here. I'm going to go get your stylist. I'll be right back. Okay. And she says, thank you. So I run into the back, into this back room we have where we call it a break room. It's also the room where we mix up our chemicals and stuff. There's a table, there's a couple chairs, there's a refrigerator, a microwave. There's these shelves that has all the chemicals there. There's our lockers are back there where we keep our stuff. So I go back there and I tell him, I'm like, dude, you got to get out here right now. Your girl is burning up. Now he's looking down at his phone and it looked like he's playing video games because he always plays video games on his phone, Pokemon Go and other stuff. So it looks like he's playing video games, but I don't know what he's doing, but he's playing with his phone, right? He's got it sideways and he's pressing some buttons or something. And so I don't know if it's I don't know what he's doing, but anyway, he says, I'm busy. And I said, listen, you need to come out here right now. Your girl is burning up. He said, well, just take her to the shampoo area and tell her I'm going to be right there. And I said, I already did that. And I ran back out there to her. And I'm like, okay, so I just talked to your stylist. He's coming right out, all right? Are you going to be okay? And she says, thank you. And so eventually he comes out there, tra-la-la. And he's like, okay, time to rinse you. And so I go into the back room. And I sit at the table. And I put my hand on my head, my elbow on the table. And I'm thinking, oh man, this is bad. I need to pray for this girl. And just then, the girl that used to work there, she no longer works there. She left way before I did. She was the former manager. She probably left about 2 months ago or so. And she comes back there. And she's like, what's going on out there? And I look up at her and I said, it looks pretty bad. And she's like, what happened? And before I can tell her what happened, he comes running in the back. And he's jumping up and down and wiggling his hands everywhere. He's like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. I'm going home. I'm going home. You need to take over for me. And he's talking to the manager. And she says, wait, calm down. What's going on? And he's like, I just went to rinse her hair and all of her hair fell out in one big clump into the shampoo bowl. So now we're dealing with a girl that lost her hair in one big clump into the shampoo bowl. And he doesn't want anything to do with it anymore. He wants to leave, and he wants the manager to take over for him, the owner. And this is his character, and he's known to be this kind of person. Now, in the salon industry, mistakes are made. Plenty of times. I'm sure many of you have had bad haircuts before, maybe even terrible haircuts. I'm sure some of you have had your hair colors, your dyes, your bleaches, whatever you got done, your perms, your highlights, whatever it is, your chemical straightenings, whatever you've done, I'm sure you've had some bad experiences before. And I've been in the salon business for 32 years, and I've seen some pretty crazy things. And I've had some things that have scared me in the past too, where I'm like super nervous, like, oh man, I hope I just didn't destroy this person's hair, where it got my heart racing, like anxiety. Like, I don't know, I've felt it before where it's probably what you might call a panic attack, thinking, oh man, I hope her hair's okay, and then they end up loving it. And I'm like, oh man, close call, right? But because you never know how somebody's hair is gonna react to certain chemicals. But the one thing is, what happened is something I've never heard of and never witnessed in all of my experience in my industry. So the manager, she takes over. She goes to help the young girl. And this dude takes off. He's out of there. She gets the girl at her seat, and she's with her for a little bit. I'm in the back, and I'm praying, and I'm just like, this is bad, And the manager comes back there, and she says, all right, this girl has blisters all over her head and all over her neck. And not only does she have blisters, but she has black burn marks. It looks like it's from the plastic bag in her skin. Not including that her hair fell out. So it's actually like a moon shape from the top of her head in a big circle. All this hair in the back, from the top to the back, fell out. She had some left on the sides and in the front, like the bang area and all that, and the back part fell out in a big clump. And she's like, we need to call this girl's mom now. And we didn't have a receptionist working there just yet. We were looking for help. So I get on the phone. I'm trying to call the girl's mom, trying her cell, trying her house, try her cell. Finally, we get in touch with the mom. And she comes to the salon. And she picks up her daughter. And she takes her daughter to urgent care. And then what we found out is that they sent her daughter to go get surgery. I don't know who did the surgery, urgent care or some other hospital or whatever, but the girl had to get skin grafts on her neck. It was that bad, skin grafts. Now, as far as I know what skin grafts are, I believe they take skin from one part of your body and put it on another part of your body. I think that's how it works, but I can't be certain. But the girl got skin grafts. And now we find out they're suing. So I'm in the back of the salon one day. And oh, by the way, the owner takes some days off, couple days off, and then when he returns, he's acting like nothing happened. And I hear him talking about how it's the girl's fault that it happened. It's the girl's fault, not his fault. It's her fault. I'm thinking, how is it her fault? This is crazy. So he's shifting the blame on the 15-year-old. It was her fault. His reasons, I go figure, right? So I'm at the salon, and the girl that was the manager at the time that I told you about, who is no longer there, and I'm no longer there either. But she comes to me and she says, hey, can I talk to you in the back real quick? I'm like, sure. So we go in the back, and she says, when the mom called the salon, she said that her daughter said the guy with the muscles and the tattoos was really nice to her and helped her. I'm like, well, that's nice. That's sweet, you know. And she says, so why would you say that it's the girl's fault? Like, what are you talking about? She says, well, I'm talking to the owner, and he told me that he's not worried. He's got insurance, and besides, and this is her words, she says that he says that he has a written statement from me with my signature on it that states that it is the girl's fault. She called it a court affidavit, an affidavit, like courtroom papers or legal papers, an affidavit, okay? And I'm like, he said I signed an affidavit saying that it is the girl's fault? She's like, yeah, did you? And I'm like, for one thing, never would I make a statement like that. And I said, and another thing, I would never sign anything like that. I haven't signed a thing. She's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah. She says, but he, the owner, he seems pretty confident that you did. And I'm like, well, somebody else must have signed my name because it wasn't me. And she says, that's forgery. That's illegal. I'm like, well, yeah. So anyway, the owner's father calls me one day to talk to me on the phone because I was on the verge of leaving. In fact, I did. There was a time back where I said, I've had enough of this insanity, and I left. This all happened really close to the same time, and I haven't really talked about this, but his dad called me. And his dad says, Mike, what's going on? We don't want you to leave, and his wife was on the other end. And I'm like, you guys, Mike, you don't want to hear the truth anyway. I said, because the problem is your son, and it's your son, so it's probably best left unsaid. No, we want to hear. I'm like, no, you don't. Yes, please. So I started explaining a bunch of stuff, how he, like for instance, I told them, there's a girl that works in the salon, and she's a Catholic. And in the back break room, she has on one of the shelves a coffee cup. And the coffee cup has the word faith on it, just the word faith. And I said, your son came back there, and she wasn't there that day, and he saw that coffee cup, and I said, he flipped out and said, what is religious stuff doing in my salon? What did I say about having anything religious in this salon? And he grabbed the cup and he says, I'm going to smash this. And I told his parents, I stopped him. I said, hey man, that is not your property. That belongs to that girl. I said her name. And he says, I don't want anything religious in this salon. I'm smashing. I said, no, hey, it's the word faith. I said, faith could be a female's name. Well, that's not her name. And I'm like, well, what about all your stuff all over your mirrors and all over the windows? What's that? And he says, that's my beliefs. It's not religion. Oh boy. And I tell his parents this. And they're like, well, you have to understand. Our poor son, when he went to school, he's gay, and people gave him a hard time for that. I'm like, hey, listen, I understand what it's like getting a hard time about things in school. I said, I was raised in a cult. I got made fun of and teased all the time. I know what it's like to be an outcast. I said, but you can't go taking it out on your employees. Well, we know. So anyway, I asked them during the conversation, I said, by the way, because the manager that told me about the affidavit, when she and I talked, I told her I wanted to ask the parents, and she says, go ahead. You don't mind if I use your name? Not at all. So I did. I said, the manager told me that she caught wind from your son that you guys have paperwork with my signature on it, some kind of court legal documents like an affidavit, that has my statement and my signature saying that it is the girl's fault that what happened happened. And they stayed silent, you guys. Not a word. And then they changed the subject to something else, and they never, ever answered my question or my statement. So, anyway, on almost 3 Saturdays ago, today's Thursday, so in 2 more days, it's going to be 3 Saturdays since I was removed from my place of employment. And mind you, he said I was suspended until further notice. The reason he said that is because if he said you're fired, well, that gives me the right to file a claim to get unemployment, collect unemployment. But since he says I'm suspended, it means technically I'm still an employee. I'm just on restriction. But the interesting thing is, all these customers of mine that contacted me have been telling me that the salon is informing them that not only am I not employed there anymore, but I left without even giving them a notice, and I don't even do hair anymore. That's what people are being told. And people are coming to me and letting me know that they're being told this. So you can imagine the lies that are being spread and all of the lies that have been told ever since this guy took over this business, and it disgusts me. And I'm not in the revenge game, but I am for justice. And what happened to this young girl is so unjust. And my name was used. So that Saturday that I was told to leave, I got on the phone because I just so happen to know a whole lot of people. I've been doing hair for many years. I know a whole lot of people that have a whole lot of different careers and jobs. And I know a bunch of attorneys. And one of these attorneys just so happens to be a very powerful man that most people, most attorneys that I know in San Diego, they all know this man and his name. Now, he doesn't do the kind of stuff that I needed help with. He's a criminal defense attorney, but he has a lot of connections. So I called him and I told him everything about that situation that happened with that 15-year-old girl. And he says, "Do you know the girl's name or her mother's name?" And I said, "No, I don't." He says, "Can you get their names?" And I said, "No, I can't. I don't have access to anything anymore." He says, "Can you give me the owner's name and the name of his father?" I said, "Yes, I can." So I did. He says, "All right, give me some time. I'm going to make some phone calls, and we'll see if we can get this figured out and find out if they forged your name. And if they did, this is going to be a big deal, Mike." I'm like, "You do what you got to do." And so far, I haven't heard back from him. Now, I'm not asking for your advice on legality stuff or anything like that. I'm sure that you guys can contact me and, "Oh, you need to do this and you need to do that." That's not what I'm asking for. It just so happens that a lot of people that watch this channel do live in San Diego. Some of them are even customers of mine whose hair I have been doing for a long time. And a lot of them live in that same community where this young girl and her mother lives. So all I'm asking is if anybody out there that's watching this video has heard of anything about a 15-year-old that is filing a lawsuit against, I won't name the salon, but in San Diego, anything that has to do with this case, if anybody knows any information about their family, any friend connections or whatever, I'm going to ask you to please email me. I always put my email in my description box on my videos. But just in case you don't know how to get into the description box, I'm going to tell you my email address, and you can contact me through there. The email address is michaellehre@yahoo.com. Michael is spelled Michael. Lehre is Lehre. It's all one word, Michael Lehre at yahoo.com. If you know any information that you can help me with on this, because I do want to be able to contact that family. And I do want to let them know that I did not say those things and that I'm on their side and I'm all for them getting justice. You hear me, guys? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. And I'll see you all next time. God bless you.